If you are thinking of buying a pre-owned or used iPhone this year, then you've come to the right video. In this video, I'll take you through a list of the best pre-owned or used iPhones that you can buy in 2024. So let's get to it. How's it going, everyone? My name is Musa Nziane. So following the release of the iPhone 15, some older iPhones will be discontinued, some iPhones will become cheaper, and some iPhones will become more available in the used and pre-owned market. And that is why I created this video to take you through the updated list of the best pre-owned iPhones that you can buy today, starting off with the first one, and that is the iPhone 14 Pro Max. The iPhone 14 Pro Max is the best iPhone that you can buy on the pre-owned market today. It has a fast processor chip and an advanced Pro camera system and a larger 6.7-inch display. But if you say, I want all the power, I want the best pre-owned iPhone on the market right now, but I don't prefer a bigger screen, then you can opt for the next iPhone that we have on the list, and that is the iPhone 14 Pro. And the iPhone 14 Pro comes with a more compact 6.1-inch display. And I think that is a perfect size. It is not as small as the iPhone mini, and it is not as big as the iPhone Pro models. So it is somewhere in between. So I think that is the perfect size. What I like about the iPhone 14 Pro models is that they have the new dynamic island notch, which is very much modern, so the phones won't feel old in any way. And on to the next iPhone, and that is the iPhone 13 Pro Max. I still consider the iPhone 13 Pro Max one of the most wanted iPhones on the pre-owned market for a number of reasons. I think the iPhone 13 Pro Max was the first Pro Max iPhone to really get some attention, at least according to my observation. The iPhone 11 Pro Max and the 12 Pro Max, they were good. Yes, people were looking at them, but not as much as the iPhone 13 Pro Max. When it got released, everybody wanted one, but not everyone could get hold of it because this was during the COVID era and there were shipments and stock issues. I remember seeing one of the longest waiting lists at iStore, and people had to wait for long. Other people that I know even ended up giving up on getting one. So the phone was a bit scarce for some time, and I think that is one of the reasons why it is still one of the most wanted iPhones on the pre-owned market. So even when the iPhone 14 Pro Max got released, other people were still looking and searching for the iPhone 13 Pro Max, which was still hard to find brand new. But the iPhone 13 Pro Max is still pretty powerful. It has some pro features such as the Pro Motion display, which is a 120Hz refresh display, and the Pro camera system with the 3 lenses. The only downside to the iPhone 13 Pro Max and the iPhone 13 Pro is that they have the older notch, so there is no dynamic island notch there. But I wouldn't say that is a deal breaker. I think it is still a pretty good phone. And just like the iPhone 14 Pro Max, the iPhone 13 Pro Max has a bigger display and it is a bigger phone and a bit heavy. So again, for those who say they want something a bit more compact, then you can look at the next iPhone on the list, and that is the iPhone 13 Pro. So the iPhone 13 Pro and the iPhone 13 Pro Max, I'd recommend those two phones for people who say, look, I want the best Pro iPhone on the used market, but my budget is a little bit tight, so I cannot go for the iPhone 14 Pro Max. Then you can opt for the iPhone 13 Pro Max, which should give you a pretty much similar experience, pretty much similar performance, except for those small things such as the older notch that I've mentioned there. That will be the only downside, but at least you'll be able to save a bit of cash there. And if you're enjoying this video, guys, don't forget to hit the like button and to consider subscribing to the channel for more content like this. Let's continue. And on to the next iPhone on the list, and that is the iPhone 12 Pro Max and the iPhone 12 Pro. So the iPhone 12 Pro Max and the iPhone 12 Pro I'd recommend for people who say, look, I want a Pro iPhone in the used market, something a bit more powerful, but I cannot afford both the 14 and the 13 Pro models. So you can look at the iPhone 12 Pro Max and the iPhone 12 Pro. Hopefully those will somewhat suit your budget. They still look good, not that much different from the iPhone 13 Pro and the iPhone 14 Pro. However, since the iPhone 12 is a bit older, then it won't be as powerful as those two, and the camera won't be as sharp as the iPhone 13 and the 14 Pro. Also, the batteries may not be as good because the iPhone 12 Pro was discontinued a while back. So if you search on the used market, it might be a little bit difficult to get one that has a good battery health. So those are the things that you need to be aware of if you decide to go for the iPhone 12 Pro or the iPhone 12 Pro Max. And now next to the next iPhone on the list, that is the standard iPhone 13 and the standard iPhone 14. But I'm leaning more towards the iPhone 13 because the iPhone 13 and the iPhone 14, they look the same. They have about 95% of the same features. So same processor, same camera system, same design. A lot of the things that you will find on the iPhone 13, you will find on the iPhone 14. This was one of the weakest upgrades ever. And that is why I don't recommend the iPhone 14. However, if you can find it a little bit cheaper and if you can find it at a good deal that is not much different from the iPhone 13, then I'd say you can go ahead and buy the iPhone 14. But all in all, I think when you go out for the search of a standard iPhone, then go and look for the iPhone 13. So before I upgraded to the iPhone 15, I was using an iPhone 13. And I've made a whole video, which is a 2024 review of the iPhone 13 to see if it's still worth it in 2024. I will link the video down in the description so that you can watch it later on. But all I can say is that the iPhone 13 is still very much capable in 2024. But I have to point out that there isn't much of a gap between the price of the brand new iPhone 13 and a pre-owned iPhone 13. So when you're checking the prices, just compare. And if you think that the difference is not really that much and you are able to add up and get a brand new, then I'd recommend that you go ahead and get it brand new. And on to the next one, and that is the iPhone 12 mini and the iPhone 13 mini. These are the only two iPhone mini models that you can get out there, and I recommend them for people who prefer mini or small iPhones. But something to note is that the mini iPhone has been discontinued, so there is no iPhone 14 or 15 mini, and that makes it hard to find an iPhone 12 or an iPhone 13 mini, because a lot of people, realizing that the iPhone mini has been discontinued, they decide to keep and hang on to their iPhone 12 and their iPhone 13 mini. So that's why it is a little bit difficult to find on the market. And remember, people who bought these iPhones knew exactly why they were buying that iPhone, and they were actually going for that specific size. And something to point out on the iPhone minis is that because they are smaller, they have smaller batteries, and that means they also have a shorter battery life. So that is something to keep note of if you're considering the iPhone minis. And now we are on to the last iPhone on the list, and I have saved the best for last, and that is the iPhone 14 Plus. The reason why I say I saved the best for last, it is because I believe the iPhone 14 Plus is the best value iPhone. Last year, I released a whole video where I was explaining and giving all of the reasons why I think the iPhone 14 Plus is the best value iPhone, including the fact that it is a bigger version of the standard iPhone 14, and it also gives you a longer battery life, but you pay less. You don't necessarily have to buy a Pro Max to get the same screen size and to get a longer battery life. You pay way less than what you would pay for a Pro Max model. So if you want to buy a standard iPhone 14, rather buy the iPhone 14 Plus. Previously, if you wanted such a big screen and a longer battery life, you had to pay for the Pro Max. But now with the Plus available, then you have other options. And now for those who say, look, I can see your list, but still all of those iPhones that you've spoken about are outside of my budget, then I would recommend that you look at the iPhone 11 lineup. And that is the iPhone 11 Pro, the 11 Pro Max, and the standard iPhone 11. Although the iPhone 11 lineup has an older design that has rounded edges and not flat designs like the newer models, but other people prefer those rounded edges because they say it's easier to hold and stuff like that. The iPhone 11 lineup is still very much capable, and they can also run the latest update, and that is the iOS 17, so they should still be good enough to get the job done. And we've come to the end of this video, so thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. That is the list of the best pre-owned iPhones on the market that you can buy today. Let me know in the comments if you agree with the list. If there is an iPhone that I left out that you think should be on the list, let me know. And if there is an iPhone that you don't agree with, let me know as well. Don't forget to hit a like and to consider subscribing to the channel. I'll catch you on the next video.